Are you ready?
I am.
It's like, I've been ready. How many times are you going to say that? John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Go over the bridge, go through one set of lights, pull a Yui, park in the street in front of the music store with the red neon light. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Be here on the show with me. Have your own show in our beautiful podcast studio. Dave will tell you how. And we are here today, finally, Mr. Michael Palin.
Hello.
Bass player.
Yes, sir.
Orchestra leader.
That would work too. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is that is that how we could say it?
Arranger?
Or
Orchestrator?
Arranger, orchestrator.
Teacher?
Teacher. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna get to the bottom of everything. So you've been doing what do you? So what is it called?
Well, the band has been around since 1995.
Whoa,
it's been called the Other Orchestra.
Okay, the Other Orchestra.
And there's a story behind that because I was working with a couple of big bands, and one of them I had kind of a brush up with the musical director. And I found myself out of a gig.
Oh boy!
And I said, "You know what? I could do it better than you. This
So
is going
this
to be.
is the
This is
other.
not your orchestra. It's going to be the Other Orchestra."
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. And that worked out pretty well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there was version 1.0 that was started in 1995.
Okay.
And we went for 7 years. We were playing at I don't know if you remember the Trout Brook Brew House, which was over in Frog Hollow area.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. We played there for a number of years. We played at the 880 Club for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then I changed careers and had to put it on the shelf. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I became a music teacher.
Oh hey.
And I was also going back to grad school and all that stuff. So I was like, maybe I'll just put it on the shelf and just retire it for a little bit. And then I got laid off like 9 years later.
Oh, wow.
I had a lot of time on my hands, and that's when version 2.0 of the Other Orchestra came about because I had time on my hands. And I could do it again.
A lot of the same players?
About half the core players, half new.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell everybody how big a band this is, just so that they can understand.
Well, at any given show that we do, and we play every week, there could be up to 20 people on stage.
Wow. That's crazy. That's
well, I'm blessed with sometimes 3 percussionists, if you want to include drums. So drums, conguero, and then hand percussion.
Oh wow!
So that's 3 drums right there. So that, and then sometimes there's a vocalist and a background vocalist.
Whoa!
So it gets up there and very crowded very quickly.
Yeah. So there was, I guess, you're saying if you, how long were you in the first thing, before you started your own thing, like in '95? How long has there been a big band thing
for me?
For you and like around here?
I would say, well, that it's been around here forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chick Chickadee band goes back 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And they used to be at the original 880 Club, and that was a great band. So they were some of the core members of the scene. There was also the New England Jazz Ensemble, which took over there. And now I think the Chick Chickadee band's called the Hartford Jazz Orchestra.
Okay.
And they play over at the Illicit Brewery. So there was a number of bands playing around. I was playing in a band called New Vintage, which was more of a nostalgic band playing a vintage swing and more of what you think a big band does.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's always been somewhat of a thread.
Yeah, of course.
Of the big band thing around here.
Oh yeah. That's
cool.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in Wallingford, in the area, there was the what was it? It's the John Oblon thing.
Yeah, John Oblon.
Right.
I played with him. He was a good friend. God rest his soul.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I like John.
Yeah, I grew up with Jim, his son.
Oh, yeah.
In Wallingford.
Marvelous.
Yeah, monster. Yeah. So that was like the big band around there.
Yes.
Was that thing?
And there was another one down in the New Haven, Hamden area too. I can't think of the name of it at the time. It was associated with Quinnipiac College.
Okay.
Trombone player. The name escapes me, but that was around when I was in college back in the 70s.
Wow. So when you decide to start your thing, how many people did you poach from there, or did you start from scratch?
No, I had no conscience whatsoever.
Oh, you just said, "Hey."
I said, "Hey, I'm gonna start this thing up, and this is the concept I want to go with."
And what was the concept?
It was sort of an alternative big band.
Okay.
So we weren't playing, Glenn Miller. We weren't playing the Woody Herman kind of thing. We were playing more contemporary music.
Okay.
Which I think there was a niche for, and obviously we survived, and
so
because we sit in that niche.
So you got the cool people. You said we're gonna play.
It's your perspective of cool, man.
Well, like I'm saying, nothing against, but you're not going to be doing big band music.
You'll never hear us play In the Mood.
Right.
Ever.
Right. Yeah, you're never in the mood. You're never
play in the mood. I'm never in the mood to play in the mood.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So it's songs arranged for a big band instead of what we would think of as big band songs.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Was there a response right away?
Yeah. We were new, trying out different stuff, back in the version 1.0, but we had a regular following back then.
Cool.
And then, we came back with version 2.0 in 2011. We had a 10-year run at Black Eyed Sally's until the pandemic. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be done.
It can be done.
Yeah.
Don't expect to make any money, but it can be done.
Right. What's the community like? Because, I'm sure we're going to get into the whole thing. I mean, I'm sure you have a rock and roll history too, but I know like a horn player. I might know 3 horn players. Like, where do all those players come from?
Good question.
Different places, I imagine.
Different places for sure, but a lot of them, and most of them, are the woodwind players, and brass players. I met in pit orchestras for musicals.
Okay.
I started to do that and really found that I enjoyed it. And then
when is this way back?
No. Actually, probably not until like the early 2000s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I never really liked musical theater, and then I performed in a pit for a year, and I was like, yeah. This is cool.
And then you met a whole
slew of musicians that do that.
So then when 2.0 came, you were like,
good to
I
go.
can draw from this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's interesting. So that's who that scene is, a lot of those players.
A lot of those players, yeah.
Yeah.
Some are music teachers in the public school system.
I see.
Some are private teachers, and some are accountants.
Yeah, right. Right. It's just an outlet to to do the thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. That's kind of wild. How often do you rehearse at all? It's got to be impossible.
It's an open rehearsal.
Right. That's
so what you see is our performance and rehearsal all at the same time.
Yeah, right. How do you? I would imagine if someone's going to do that gig, they're not going to lie. Like, how do you know they can do it? You can either read or you can't, right?
Usually it's recommendation.
Okay.
So, a player knows other players that he works with or have worked with that do the same kind of thing. And, then if you come with a recommendation, I mean.
I wonder how different. Well, I would imagine if you probably in music school, you do enough ensemble that you kind of understand how to do this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine if you're in a section's a section, whether you're in the pit band or whatever, right?
Right, absolutely.
It's all ensemble playing.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. Have you ever, without naming names, have you ever like, this guy ain't gonna make it? Or do they all come? Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. But, it's funny, not for the reasons you think, not for musical deficiencies.
They're the wrong astrological sign, and
pretty much.
It affects the makeup of the.
And that happens. That's an important factor in any band, right?
Well, yeah, sure.
And it's same whole truth. If
chemistry.
If the chemistry is not right, you got to make a change.
Yeah. Wow, that's heavy.
Hasn't happened often, but.
Well, right. I'm just imagining. So you're keeping an ear on everybody.
I try to.
Yeah.
And as well as keeping an ear myself.
Yeah, right. How rare is it to have the bass player? I know that you're more than a bass player, but that's your role in the band. How rare is it for the bass player to be the leader?
I don't know. If you looked at TV, who's that guy for the Ricky Minor is a bass player, and he runs the band for The Voice or the American whatever that is.
So whoever wants to. So what?
I mean, Marcus Miller's been a musical director for other artists, Luther Vandross and Miles Davis for so.
Yeah, right. Well, what do you feel that? Do you feel that? Did it just fall to you because it was your idea, or do you feel like a bass player has an advantage in that role, or it's just the willingness?
I think it's a good bridge instrument between two worlds. Okay. And that's the world of the rhythm section.
Sure.
And the world of the horn players.
Okay.
So one of my goals, I mean, I'm a rhythm section player first.
Sure.
But one of my goals is to set and make sure I have the proper bass tone that works with the horns, that works with the trombones. I try to make it sound like
coming out of the amp.
Yeah.
Wow. So talk about how you got started in music and how different that is. Did you come up in rock and roll?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I always wanted to play bass.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since I heard, Ball of Confusion.
Yeah, right, right.
Sure. It's like, how could you not hear that song and not want to play that bass?
Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
New Britain.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was probably like 12 when that tune came out, and I was like, I want to play bass.
Yeah.
And my household owned a trumpet.
Okay.
And they said, well, we have a trumpet, so you're going to play trumpet in the band. I'm like, okay. So I did play trumpet until I made my first $150, and I bought a Fender bass. I was working at the grocery store or something, Food Mart here in Berlin.
Hey, there you go.
And bought a bass, and then networked with a bunch of friends who were singer, songwriter kind of guys that were.
And this would be when, approximately?
73 and 4.
Okay.
And it's the 75,
yeah.
And we just sit down and learn tunes and work them out. And, and usually they were rock based.
Sure.
Some Neil Young, some Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
We just sit there and just throw it together and mutually learn a tune.
Just like we all do.
So that's where I started. But I had a pretty strong inclination or compelling to go to music school.
Okay.
So I didn't do it my freshman year of college. I was a business major then, and I survived my first year of business school, and I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to the University of Bridgeport back in a very, very fortunate time.
Yeah.
Because UB between 75 and 80, 81 was a hotbed for really good musicians.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to play with some world-class musicians.
Such as?
This is just Dave Weckl.
Sure.
Was there. And Joel Rosenblatt was there.
Right.
And that was interesting because Joel was there before Dave, and Joel was a great player.
Yeah.
He went on to play with Spyro Gyra and all sort of other,
Yeah, he's on the remote list. He's aware of the show. So
good.
Someday, if you're listening.
Anyway, I remember Dave came in, auditioned for the big band, and unseated Joel from the A band, and we ended up playing together. I was fortunate enough to play with him in the B band.
Oh wow!
With Joel, and Dave came in at 17, like 90% of what he is now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I guess there's no shame in being unseated by. I mean, I guess you got to recognize.
Yeah, I mean, he
you know what I mean.
He stepped out. He graduated from college, and his first gig that summer was a world tour with Simon and Garfunkel.
Right. Right.
Okay, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
And then the bass player Anthony Jackson says, "Where you been all my life?"
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you're coming with me. Yeah, that's crazy. That's cool. So, how far did you go there?
I was there until 1980.
Okay.
and then I went on the road for 2 years with a band called High Times.
Okay.
And that was sort of an 8-piece, sort of like a jump swing R&B band before jump swing and R&B was sort of like,
Okay.
in fashion. And we did the same bars as Eighth to the Bar. And,
sure.
What was that other band that Bill Holloman played in?
B. Willie Smith?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
So we were closely.
Yeah.
We would alternate through weekends in all the same clubs.
Yeah.
All over through New England and New York and down
that's cool.
to Philadelphia. And did that for 2 years and did some recordings with some friends that I went to school with at Bridgeport while I was there, was on the road. And they used it and marketed it and then got a gig as the house band, utility house band on a cruise ship. And I get the phone. I was in the middle of a blizzard.
Oh, boy.
Playing at the Bayview Street Garage up in Camden, Maine.
Oh, boy.
And
you're like, cruise ship? Yes. The answer is yes.
Pretty much. I came off the first set, and the bartender was like, "Hey, this guy Ed called you," and he gave me the number, and I was like, "Why did he call? Ed's calling me, and why?"
Yeah.
And I called him up and was like, "That was the question. Do you want to do a gig?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah, right. Sure. Can the boat come pick me up now? Can the boat come here? Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So I did that for 2 years.
And
I did that for a year.
Where did that go? That boat go?
It wasn't that exciting. It was back and forth from Port Canaveral to Freeport in the Bahamas, and sometimes down to Miami. And, yeah.
Oh well.
I did get to see a lot of the space shuttle launches though, because I was right there at Port Canaveral.
Oh, that's cool.
So
how boring.
Right.
There goes another one.
There goes another one.
You know Jeff Brown?
Yes,
drummer.
I
was just talking to him last night, and he was saying he was visiting someone in Florida, and they see like SpaceX all the time. Shuttle. They're just like, oh look, there it goes again. Another one. Just like earth-shattering big fireball, whatever.
There it goes, and it blew up.
Yeah. I go, there it goes. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
So then you get off the boat.
Get off the boat, and then I moved down to Key West.
Oh, hey.
And I lived in Key West for a year.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, I was playing in 4 bands at once.
Hey.
So I had sometimes 3 gigs in a day.
Wow.
But, I had to survive down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? What's the worst that can happen?
You're
homeless outside in the sunshine?
And then a hurricane comes and washes you away.
Oh, okay. All right.
But no, that's the worst that can happen. I mean, it got to a point because I hadn't read a newspaper, watched TV, watched television in like a year.
Oh.
And I was like, if I don't leave now...
Oh, you're just going to end up...
I'm going to be 65 years old in a grass skirt at the end of Route 1 selling conch shells.
Yeah, right.
I saw that in my future.
So that's what happens.
And now that I'm 65 years old, I'm like, that's not so bad.
Yeah, right. Well, man, go get your gig back. Yeah. So you just play until you move on, and then somebody else is there.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Still going.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild. But that must have been cool, though. Kind of get that whole scene.
I played at Sloppy Joe's and Captain Hornblowers.
Yeah.
And, a gazillion clubs out there.
Sure. Yeah, I've been down there a couple of times. I don't remember exactly what went on. But I used to play in...
There's reasons for that.
Well, I played on Marathon Key a few times.
Okay. Lots of resorts on Marathon.
Yeah. So then we used to go down to Key, just kind of bounce around a little bit back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. And so then what?
Then I came up north and reality set in, and I had to get a day gig. So I ended up working at a design firm in Hartford via a musical connection, because I came up and a friend of mine had a band called Sneakers back in the well, they were around since the 70s, but they were this was the mid 80s, and they were sort of like an R&B band. I always get gravitated towards the R&B kind of thing. And the lead singer in the group is Tom Vinnick, who was a great blue-eyed soul singer.
Okay.
And his dad had a really large design firm in Hartford.
Okay.
And by hook or by crook, I just sort of, with connection with Tom, he's got me working for his dad. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
You have any experience in that?
No,
But you were like, I'm smart enough, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, that's cool.
You know, if you're gonna tell anyone, you know, what's the secret of success in life is like,
I was gonna ask you.
Never, never say no.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Someone says, "Can you do this?" You go, "Of course," and then you figure out how to do it.
I 100% agree.
You know, it's simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, it kinda. That's how I did anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You can teach drums? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring it out. I don't know.
Well, you always will because
right.
It's a lifelong process.
Right.
I mean, just never.
Yeah.
You never come to a finishing point.
No, I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do, something's wrong.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Then, then you just become. I don't know. I don't know what the word is.
I don't know either.
You know, I know what I'm thinking, but I can't say it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So there you are. And then how do you get involved with larger bands?
Slowly but surely, I had friends that were musicians that had big bands and stuff like that. They would say, hey, can you come and sub here? And can you come and sub here? So you start off as a sub.
Okay.
And that's how you infiltrate the scene as a sub.
Yeah.
And after a while, if the people start liking what you're doing, what you're laying down, then you get called more frequently.
How big change? How steep was the learning curve?
I always knew how to read. I never knew how to read well.
Yeah, yeah.
And man, it's like you throw yourself in the deep end of the pool, and if you're gonna keep your head above water, you just pedal and learn to read as fast as you can.
Did you have any role models in that world, in that sense, or you just said, "I'm going to figure it out how to do it"?
Oh no, I mean, I had more. My role models were bass players.
Yeah,
you're not necessarily in that world. Will Lee was always an amazing, inspiration.
Sure.
Marcus Miller.
Sure.
Of course, Jaco Pastorius,
sure.
Alfonso Johnson.
Sure.
Because I grew up in the fusion era in the 70s, and that was the bread and butter at the time as far as what everyone listened to and the hottest thing to listen to. And I wore out all my albums of all the bass players.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they sound like frying pans. And
right.
Snap, crackle, pop. But
when you moved into the big band thing, how much of an adjustment? So
not that much, because remember the concept of the band was we're doing non-traditional big band.
I got you.
I was modeling it more towards like the band Paul Schaefer's band.
Okay.
Where they're doing cover tunes, but they're doing their instrumental version,
right?
Reconceptualized version.
I got you.
And that was kind of like the inspiration for what I should do with the big band.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it really wasn't done that much.
Now, when you have that idea and you put that all together, I would imagine that there's got to be some cats that probably left over that are coming from big band, like they're thinking like that.
Yeah.
Do you actually explain that to them and say, listen, basically, so you're almost a big rock and roll band, kinda,
yeah,
more like that then, and you explain to them like, this is what I want to do, or is it just you hand them the arrangements and the charts and they kind of, oh, okay, I get it. Like, how do you pitch it to players?
Well,
is it more fun for them, do you think?
I think it's more fun because they don't do it enough. So musicians are like starving for new styles to play, new ways to experiment. Remember, we're talking about, you're always in the learning process.
Yep.
So some of these players, their eyes get open. Oh, this is great. I'm not swinging the triplet. I'm playing eighth notes in a funk vein. It's a different kind of reading approach, and they want to fill any kind of gaps in their abilities, because a lot of them, like I said, play musical theater.
Right.
And musical theater has been turning on its ear with stuff they're playing now, like Hamilton and the hip hop thing that's going on.
Sure.
So
this kind of helps them in a way.
It does. Yeah. I would think so. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So you think a lot of those, well, like you say, it's changing now, but like they're coming up through swing, like that's where they're coming up. But I guess if it's musical theater, it could be anything at this point.
It could be anything. Because a good musician, like a Broadway pit musician, has to be able to play anything.
Yeah, and play it convincingly, style-wise, not just the notes on the page.
Right.
Huh.
Right.
That's interesting. It's kind of cool. And they're all down with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. They're just like, why not?
Yeah. I mean, most of the time, though, I mean, the reputation sort of, we've been around long enough that even, if you're on the musician scene at all, you've heard of us.
Yeah.
And you heard of what we do. So most people come in with their eyes wide open and know what to expect. So.
And they're just like, all right, see what's going on.
I'm ready to play some Frank Zappa.
Yeah. So then comes to the charts, the arrangements. That's you. Finding them, writing them.
All of that.
Yeah.
I've become an internet squirrel. I mean, I'm finding all those buried gems, on the internet, and they're out there. So,
do you ever think of something and then go looking, or just cast the net?
Probably both. Okay. Sometimes I just stumble across it.
Yeah. Go, hey, this would be cool.
I'm in the room, and all of a sudden, oh, look at that. Or other times I will do that search when I think, hey, I want this.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of arrangements that I commissioned, so I sort of befriended this bass player who lived in Spain. He was a British expatriate, but he's a great arranger. And, he had himself set up for doing that. So
and how'd you meet him?
I think it was something simple as stupid as like Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you'll be like, hey, you think you can do an arrangement of this?
Yeah. Wow. And he's done some great stuff.
Hey, that's cool.
He did that Young Americans arrangement.
Oh, all right.
And I had to argue with him for that one because he did not hear it the way I was hearing it.
Oh, really?
And he didn't want to arrange it at first. I was like, no, you're missing the point. It's going to be great. All these background vocals, you could voice them in the saxophones, blah, blah, blah. And it was like pulling teeth. And he finally acquiesced, and he came out with a great chart.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
When your head went from, okay, I ended up playing bass in some of these big bands, when did you kind of get, whatever galaxy brain, and you were like, hey, wait a minute, I can hear this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I can be the person.
Yeah.
You go from being the bass player to being the one that has the idea for the whole thing. That must have been a revolution. Or were you just like, I've been waiting for this.
And I just dragged some of my best friends along with me. People I love to hang out with and play with, and it just sort of happened that way, where like, yeah, let's get together every Tuesday night and play the music we love. That's perfect.
And the desire to hear
right.
things that you like in this style.
Yeah, because I was friends with a whole bunch of musicians that were, children of the '70s, and
right.
We grew up listening to the same things.
I got you.
And, we were playing in bands that were playing music from the 40s, and we're like, that's great, and no disrespect to the tradition.
Right.
Because there's a time and a place for that.
Sure.
In the educational spectrum.
Sure.
But it just wasn't doing it for me.
Yeah.
It just, after playing In the Mood for 400 times, it's
sure.
like, please.
Sure.
So it was kind of natural just to say
the concept.
Yeah.
Huh. What was do you remember the first chart that you got or arranged that you were like, this is going to work?
Yes.
What was it?
I had inquired with a friend of mine. I wasn't sure of my arranging skills, and I inquired an arranger friend of mine. I said, you think you could arrange A Home at Last by Steely Dan?
Yeah, right.
And he goes, no, I'm not interested. I said, no, I'll commission you. I'll pay you for your work, whatever your value. And he was like, no, I don't want to do that. So my back was against the wall. I was like, I really love that chart. I'm hearing it. I was like, well, let's just do it. I jumped in and learned how to manipulate Finale, which is a notation software, and
okay.
Just started inputting, some lines and cutting and pasting, and all of a sudden you built the whole tune. And you take the melody line and you put it in the horns. And,
yeah, right.
and that's tricky. You have to have the tunes that transition well from, the pop world to an instrumental big band arrangement are the ones that have the most identifiable or strong melody.
Okay.
Because a lot of them don't. They're sometimes the singer's like almost talking.
Yeah, right.
And there's not a lot of range.
Right.
And it could be like a 3-note range, and it's just like a repetition.
I gotcha.
But guys that are like David Bowie he sang that strong melody, and who can forget that intro for Young Americans with David Sanborn. But so I ended up doing Home at Last, and we recorded it on our CD. So
and that was your first arrangement.
That was one of the first ones. Yeah.
And did you? So when you were in school, you learn. I mean, because I'm a drummer, so I can't imagine. But like when you arrange, you have to know, obviously, what range each instrument is in.
Yeah.
And what they're most likely to sound.
It's gotten so much easier these days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like my program now doesn't allow me to write out of the range of the instrument.
Oh, wow.
Okay. You get these like little bleep, like, nope, they ain't going to be able to play that note.
Oh, okay. All right.
But with that said, I mean, I did take arranging when I was in college, and I had a couple of textbooks that I still have and still use.
Yeah. Do you have input? You ever write arrangements and then have some of the players go, hey,
yes.
So it's collaborative even still.
Yeah.
And you don't mind because
I don't mind because why not? Exactly.
Right. You want to sound good.
I forget what tune it was. I'm gonna blank on this, but I remember I worked collaboratively with our drummer that was working with us, Roger Post, on an ending, and I can't remember what it was. But anyway, we ended up. It was like I was stymied. I had like a mental block. I was like, you get to the end, I don't know how to get out of this tune. Like we're right up here. I don't know how to get out of this tune. Nothing. Everything sounds pretentious or contrived. And I talked it over with the drummer for his thoughts. He goes, why don't you just do these triplets there and just put the hits against my triplet? I'm like, well, let's try it. And it was like, okay, that works perfectly.
Hey, that's cool.
So sometimes it really helps to have musical feedback from your band.
Do you tell everybody when you introduce a new tune? Do you even give them a heads up? You must have the world's biggest text group.
I do.
You know what I mean? You just go, be on the lookout for.
I usually kind of give them like 2 or 3, maybe 3 days notice.
Okay.
But the regular players know the book pretty well.
Okay.
Not, the book is massive. There's 700 tunes in my book.
Wow.
So, and I like to spread it around. I don't like to get locked into the same group of tunes, because that's why we do it. We like the challenge of being fresh.
Right. So everybody's kind of there.
As soon as it becomes
for the
stale, it's like nope, it ain't gonna work. So we try and stay fresh, and that's like, being up on the high wire without a net is sometimes they use it, describe it as.
Yeah, but that's why you show up.
Yeah, that's when it gets thrilling,
right? How many times? What's the ratio between things that you run and then just go, we'll never do that again because it was so bad, or let's keep doing it until we get what's the breaking point? Like, have there been someone you're just like, whoops, nope, never, and that was it, and they were gone forever, or do you just?
Yes, but not as many as you think.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm pretty selective, but
you go back to the drawing board.
There's been some charts I purchased that were just wonky. It's just I don't know what anyone was thinking, and it takes more than one play. Because I was like, I want to say, maybe that was just a performance issue.
Oh, I see.
Let's play it again now that we kind of got our feel. And if your opinion stays the same, then it just goes up. Yeah.
You go, oh, well, nice. Yeah. Nice try.
Or sometimes the musicians in the band, like, I don't want to play that ever again. Don't even think about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right. They're very brutally honest.
You ever modify an arrangement that exists? Or you just take a whole cloth. Yeah. So sometimes you'd be like, all right, let's see if I could tweak it.
Yeah, pre finale for me, I was the master of the cut and paste. Where I could cut it out, put some tape over the top, and take this part over here, cut and paste it, and put it over here. Kind of like splicing tape. And
sure.
But I did it with sheet music.
Yeah, boy. Wow. Imagine that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank God
cool.
for finale now.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you're still cutting and pasting it just in the cloud or whatever,
Right,
however
right.
you want to think about it. Wow, that's heavy. And you're just going to keep going. So no more Black Eyed Sally's. That was your home.
And that was our home for 10 years, and then the pandemic changed that. And it's interesting. We recorded that CD that I handed you earlier, the Other Orchestra CD, and the actual boxes of the hard copy showed up like a week before the state shut down because of the pandemic.
Brother. So you're like, I can't even give these away at this point.
So we stopped playing there, and they're not even open on Tuesday nights anymore.
Wow.
And it's key to keep the same night consistent because you're in a community of musicians that play in multiple bands.
And Tuesdays are a good night.
That's our slot. That's, stay in our lane.
Yeah.
So I chose to stay in our lane and move elsewhere. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So we're at the Hungry Tiger. Which is
that's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's kind of wild.
And we fit on the stage.
Yeah. No, I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's a kind of intimate place. I mean, you're up in our face. There's no place to hide there.
It's kind of cool though.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of the novelty of it, because it does feel like when you go and you see it, you're within the band, kind of, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. It's they've been there for over 40 years, and they're known to be a music club.
Oh yeah.
And I played there in other bands earlier on.
Sure.
So So it was just sort of natural.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
See how long that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hopefully we have another 10 years there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's heavy. So always new stuff. Still.
Try to. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pandemic. I did a lot of charts during COVID.
You
lockdown.
did?
Yeah. Probably, maybe dozen. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
I had a lot
the time. Yeah.
a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, yes, and we haven't played all of them yet.
Whoa. So you still have backlog?
I do have backlog.
That's kind of cool.
The backlog is I'm scared of them, actually.
Well, what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
I mean, I would think people, like you're saying, I guess, first of all, probably for at least a certain amount, if not the majority of people, they're just overwhelmed by the experience. So they're not being critical.
Right.
It's just, sorry, I don't mean to but it's like a novelty in a way of like,
absolutely.
Oh, hey, this is so cool.
Absolutely.
That they're not critically listening.
Right.
It take them a while before they start to listen critically, if at all.
Yeah.
So you probably get leeway to, it's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
You can try things.
There's something intimidating about having like 4 trombones playing Jack Bruce's bass solo on apostrophe.
You had to do it. You had to know.
I had to do it.
Yeah, you're like, I want to know what this sounds like.
Yeah.
That's funny. What's next?
What's next?
Do you think back of old things? You listen to new things to figure out?
I'm constantly listening to new things, what's out there being published. And I think what's next in my goals is that, we have that one CD under our belts already, and we knew we could efficiently do the process. Now I have another. I could probably do another CD with them being all my arrangements.
Oh, hey.
So that's probably the next.
Hey, that's cool.
The next thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Was making the recording harder or easier than you thought?
Oh, we attacked it like a machine.
Oh yeah.
We tracked 15 tunes in a little over 8 hours.
Oh wow. So you're just
maybe my. Yeah.
So we're just running
like
it down.
10 hours.
So we're going to just run it down.
And that's what we did. We had a list. We
get sounds.
Well rehearsed.
Yep.
We get rhythm section sounds the night before on Friday night.
Sure.
We hit at 8 a.m. on Saturday and had half of it in the bag by 1.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what you hear is what you get, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's cool. How consistent, how deep is your sublet? Like, how consistent are the players? Because I've seen you a few times, and I'm like, oh, hey, there's John Smeda. And then I don't see him. And I'm like, oh, there's Jeff Fitzgerald. And then I don't see him. Yeah. How fluid is it?
Everyone has a life.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one who doesn't.
I don't. What's it like? What's having a...
Well, I'm you and me
people
both,
are always
man.
telling me to
That's
get
why
one.
we get along so well. We're like the two without a life.
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm insanely faithful to my Tuesday night commitment. But
have you ever not done the? Have you ever subbed your own?
I
gig?
have.
Really?
Yes.
Who played bass?
Lou Baccarelli.
Okay, sure.
And sometimes Steve Ballmer.
Okay, I don't know him.
Oh yeah, he's a great player. Really good player.
Yeah, but I know Lou.
Yeah, and Lou's a great guy.
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anyway, they've subbed, and actually, Kristen, she just graduated from Hart. I can't think of her last name, but anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's very, very rare.
Yeah.
But the band, I probably have, in a consistent rotation cycle, maybe 30 players.
Oh, it's not that bad.
So at least one deep on every chair.
Yeah.
So maybe more than 30. I don't know.
Yeah. Stupid. Do they even tell you, or are they in charge of their own sub? And you just like, oh,
it's a mixed bag. Yeah, my favorite bandmates are ones that they just send a sub.
Okay.
And I don't even know till that night.
Yeah, right, right.
Because that's just like a no-brainer. It's like, okay, I didn't have to worry about it. Didn't have to like make any phone calls. Didn't have to, plead my case to people. Blah blah blah. Then there's a few that just that tell me they can't do it, and if I get enough notice, it's usually not a problem. It's usually only when like someone texts me at like noontime the day of and saying I'm not going to make it tonight.
Yeah, right.
And that's when this kind of sets me off. Because I'm
you're one person.
I'm one person, and I'm working.
Yeah, right.
On someone else's dime, usually during the day, because I'm not retired yet.
Right.
And I just can't, So anyway,
so you're just like, everyone, take care of yourself. If you can't make it, find your own sub.
That's the goal.
Yeah, sure.
We're not quite there yet, but
yeah.
And there's certain chairs that I'm a little picky about. And, some of the solo chairs, like the trumpet solo chair, not everyone can do it that well.
Yeah, right.
Or the lead tenor chair, or the lead alto chair. And lead alto is very, very important because he shapes the phrasing of the whole sax section.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Is that in big band or in that ensemble, or in your particular ensemble?
In just
is
that ensemble responsibility.
That's the way it is?
The lead player lays down the phrasing for the section.
Okay.
So if you think of it like Canadian geese, that lead player is the one at the nose, and the rest of them fall in line right alongside of them.
So that's the key guy.
Yeah, that's the key guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you stress if any key guy isn't there.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Cool.
And of course, I stress when there's a new drummer comes in.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So far, I've been very, very lucky with the drummers that I've had.
Yeah.
I've had lots of people come in. Tommy DeVino and Roger Post is a great player.
Yeah, him I don't know.
But he's from the western part of the state.
Okay.
He's the Oxford area.
Yep.
Went to WestCon, that kind of thing. But and then of course Michael Blankenfleur.
Sure. Yeah.
I've had Tyler come in. I can't think of his last name, from UConn.
But is Michael like number one, pretty much, or has it just been?
No, it's shifted. It's shifted because Roger was the primary.
Okay.
And he's a very, very different drummer than Michael.
Really?
Yeah.
How so? How would you? I don't know enough.
Roger's a precision master, tempo wise, and reading wise. And when we're like learning a new tune, he's the ideal drummer because he's locked and loaded right from the beginning. But Michael is a very expressive drummer.
Okay.
Where, yes, he can read. Yes, he can play all the other stuff. But there's a flow that just sort of happens. And, the tempo could stretch and contract a little bit. And there's nothing unmusical about that.
Yeah.
And sometimes Michael just like lets go and these fills are fresh and different and not restrained to the exact articulation of the tempo.
Gotcha.
Sometimes laying back or getting knowing when to be on the backside, knowing when to be on the front side of the beat, and So anyway, Michael's a very different drummer.
Do you have preference, or just all it's all in whatever.
I have no preference.
Does
I love them both.
Does the whole band, does the guy on the third trombone responding to the drum groove, like in an ensemble that big, how's everybody staying in the pocket? Do they know the difference? Do you think they're listening to the difference? You know what I mean?
Yes, they have, because they have independently come up to me and go, that at the end of the night, it's like, that really felt good tonight. And that's the common phrase. It's like, if it feels good, that doesn't matter. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, because you just think how hard it is just to be in a band with even just freaking 3 people,
right? To
have everybody kind of start with the same idea of where you think the pocket is. I can't imagine with 17 people.
It doesn't always work. But, it's...
and also, you don't have... I mean, you're kind of conducting, but, I mean, that's what a conductor usually does, right?
Exactly.
Is at least gives you a visual.
Right.
Like
I got a big baton, though. I got
sure.
that,
Yeah, that is true.
But, it's interesting because, I mean, you know as well as I do. Some nights you get off stage and it was like, that was work.
Yeah.
And then there's some nights you come off stage and you go, what the hell was that? That was just amazing.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not unique to my experience with a big band. It's across the board, and no matter what the size, everyone's musicians and everyone's responding to an internal clock.
Okay.
That and making adjustments as well. So I mean, if you're a good enough musician, you make adjustments.
So they're listening to the drummer, listening to you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that
to
comes
the guy right next door to him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I guess that comes back to what you say, is that you're the bridge between
like the horns and the rhythm section.
Yeah. That's cool. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's interesting. Yeah, I would watch sometimes and just feel like I wouldn't. Like what it feels like to steer something that big, I would be afraid.
It's kind of like a boat, though.
Yeah,
big like a ship. And once you get it rolling, it has its own momentum. So you just hang on.
Yeah. That's heavy. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but I'm just even thinking like, just physically proximity. I mean, the drummer is, if you're the trombone player, that's the furthest here. The drummer is over there.
Right.
So, I mean, you really have to have a sense of time.
Yeah. And, I mean, there's time delays. I mean, when you're across the room, I mean, it may be a microsecond, but there's a little bit of a time delay if you're 20 feet away from
But that's the sound of the thing, though.
Yeah, you get that big wide spread.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah,
that's wild. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? We're getting close, so I have like wrap-up questions.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Really?
Yeah,
you don't have anything you want to add? That
I'd like to say, anyone listening right now, if you haven't heard us before, come out.
Oh yeah.
Come out any Tuesday. I mean, actually, next Tuesday we're not playing.
Okay.
But we'll be back in the saddle.
Oh, because it's New Year's Day.
Yeah, the day after, right.
Yeah.
We'll be back in the saddle on the 9th of January, and we'll be playing every Tuesday.
Yeah.
And our flavor du jour is going to be some Electric Miles and some Zappa, more Zappa. So,
Okay.
So we're going to push the envelope a little bit.
Hey, why not?
Yeah. So come on out.
New Year. Well, no. Hey, you know what? I came to look for guests. I mean, I've been wanting to come anyway.
Yeah.
But there was one day I was like, oh wait, it's Tuesday. My wife doesn't need me to come home. I'm just gonna go because I usually do. This is Thursday for anyone curious. Right. I usually do the show on Tuesday, and
I can never do your show because I have a Tuesday commitment.
Right. So we made it happen. So I cruise up to the Tiger to check it out, and just a plug for the Tiger. I mean, I've been playing there since the '80s.
Yeah.
And
me
I'm like,
too.
And I'm like, wait a minute, it's a $12 burger special. With a drink, and I'm like, I leave and I have to eat anyway,
right.
and I'm like, my joke is, Don will be like, what you're here again? And I'm like, well, I could go to Chipotle and spend $15, but they don't have a big band. You know what I mean? Like, I'll come, get a burger.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for people not to, right?
That's, I'm just throwing that out there. Like, if you want to experience something interesting, and have a good burger, a good meal.
Yeah.
You know, Tiger always does good food, but it's just funny. I make that my Tuesday thing. I'm just going to come up and hang out, and you guys are done at 10 or whatever, 9:30.
I appreciate that entirely, and much respect that another musician has chosen to put up with this.
Oh, well, hey, you know what? Yes. I mean, I never saw you guys ever, even back in the day, and just like right away, you're just like, oh, this is killer. Like you're not gonna see anything like this.
Yeah.
Especially because I have a lot of history at the Tiger, so it's funny for me. I'm like, this is awesome. Then I'm just like, well, then this is my dinner.
Right.
From now on, that's it. And then we hang out, we like, talk.
Anything close, you have to drive down to the city, and it's like
that's what I'm saying.
2 hours and $50 in parking. And
right. So people should definitely, if you want to experience a 17-piece band, it's awesome.
And we're done by 10, so you could be in bed by 11. If
right. No, it's killer. No, it's a cool thing. I'm glad I started making it my thing. So yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, definitely. Everybody should check it out, and get a burger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is great. I would just be sitting somewhere else. I think I'll sit here where there's a big band playing freaking. What were you playing? Well, you did a Christmas thing last time.
Yeah, last time was Christmas.
That's a little traditional for you. You're
like, not my favorite, but you got to do it. You got to feel warm and fuzzy at least funny. One Tuesday.
Yeah. That's funny. And then back to Zappa, New Year's, right back at it. Right. That's funny.
Let's make the water turn black or something like that.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Desert island albums that you would take with you to a desert island, a handful.
Oh, I have more than one of those?
Sure.
Weather Report, Mysterious Traveler.
Sure.
Miles Davis, In a Silent Way.
Sure.
John Coltrane's Love Supreme. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue.
Yeah.
Was that enough?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would do it.
Is that telling enough?
Yeah.
I am a huge Miles head.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Always? Or did that happen in school?
I was bitten
back in the day.
Back in when I was in high school. I guess I was a weirdo. I stumbled across In a Silent Way and Bridgeport and all that stuff, and I was like, this is the coolest stuff going.
Yeah.
It's like drummers like bashing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like it just consumed me.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. There you are doing it. Pretty cool. Desert island food.
Jambalaya.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's got to be New Orleans.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's the best?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Barbecue shrimp, too, then. New Orleans style barbecue shrimp.
Okay.
It's more like a shrimp scampi than a barbecue.
I don't know anything about that. Nothing wrong with that.
You got to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shrimp. It's pure butter. It's shrimp and butter.
Oh, really?
And black pepper.
That's funny. Is there any particular show or concert that you recall seeing that blew your mind, that changed your whole thing?
Oh, yeah. It just set me on my ear. I couldn't speak probably for like an hour afterwards. It was the original Mishu Orchestra. I saw it at the Columbia Music Hall in West Hartford.
Oh, wow.
And I was, early 74.
Okay.
Or something like that. So maybe late 73. And it was just jaw-dropping. It was like the music just physically moved through your body as you were watching it. And you had no words.
Wow.
Just spectacular.
You're like this.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
This is intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's heavy. Cool. We were talking about my new hometown of Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Berlin history. It's pretty cool.
I'm adjacent to Berlin. I have a long history with Berlinites.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, I dig it. Yeah, Michael's from Berlin. Yeah, it's funny. Talking old school Berlin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool town.
It is a cool town.
I can't complain. All right, what else?
Other than come on Tuesday night, everyone. If you listen to this, and I promise you I won't disappoint.
Yeah, no,
we won't disappoint.
No.
It's a group. I gotta speak in those terms.
Yeah, right.
In terms of we and not I.
Yeah. That's cool. Do you still do any pit stuff?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Whenever I get the call, if I could do it, I love it. I mean, I'm playing. I'm playing Mean Girls in March, which I've never done before. It's a strange theme, but Mean Girls.
Yeah.
And that should be fun. That's in at Cheshire High School.
Oh wow!
So a lot of these are high school things. And they want the production to be as close to star quality, if you want to call it that, for the singers and dancers. So, yeah. So the ringers are coming in to make it sparkle.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I remember those days.
It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's like you work real hard for like a week, and you do like half dozen performances, and you walk away. You're done.
Hey, that's cool.
It is cool.
And you're the hero.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the hero, but you walk away fulfilled.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
another, you got like there's another one down in the tool belt.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? That's cool. All right. Well, we can get out of here.
Okay.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah, man. I had so much fun.
Oh, well, good. Yeah. I've been.
This is kind of what we do on Tuesday nights over a beer, though.
Right.
It's not much different than it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, that's good. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. No. I'll be there. I'm trying to make it my regular thing. This week was bizarre, obviously.
Yeah.
How was it up there? I never made it. I tried to make it, and then I was like,
this week? No, I didn't do it this week.
I'm sorry. Good. Yeah, okay, so I didn't miss anything.
We take 2 weeks off during the holiday season.
Good, because I almost showed up, and then I'm like,
that would have been bad.
Well, no,
I would have felt bad.
Well, it's not that big a deal. That's the thing about Berlin. The reason why all this is possible.
Okay.
Is I realized Berlin is the geographical center of the state.
It really is.
So it's really not. Everything is the same.
Everything's 1 hour away.
Yeah, I can get here. Portland as quick as I can get to just about to Manchester. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's like no big deal. So it kind of works out.
It does.
So even if I went up, I wouldn't have been like
geographical center. I knew that.
You know where it is? It's where the monument is on Wildham, on that triangle.
Yeah.
In the middle of the street.
Yeah.
That's the geographical center. Look.
That white monument that's right there? Is it white? Yeah.
Yep.
And that's only like a block from your house.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm the center. I'm at the center of all things, as usual.
I knew that.
Yeah, of course. Everybody knows that. Yeah, he lives at the center. Of course he does.
All right, just don't be left of center.
Too late for that. No, I'm south of center, actually. A little bit down.
Well, thanks for this.
Of course.
And
so they have a CD.
Oh, yes.
Michael Palin's Other Orchestra.
I'll be bringing those to the Tuesday night sessions, and they're being for sale for the ridiculous price of $15. But it's a double CD.
It's a double CD.
15 tunes on it. I just couldn't cut any tune and leave it on the floor.
Southwick. There you go.
That's Maceo Parker.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It's a little bit of everything.
Ooh, Aretha.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got everything on here, kids.
Little Feat.
Something for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, Little Feat.
Ray Charles.
Yep. Yeah, Rice Pudding.
You know that one?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Jeff Beck.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you don't know that, right?
No, okay. All right, okay.
That goes into the Jocko legacy.
Oh.
His Randy Bernstein wrote the tune, and he was the guitar player in Wayne Cochran's CC Riders.
Oh.
And it was in the first gigs that Jocko did, so he'd get to be very good friends with him.
I see. Okay.
And so in the review, that Motown review standard, the band would warm up the audience by a couple of instrumentals.
Yeah, right.
And then the main artist would come flying on stage. And,
sure.
And Rice Pudding was one of those tunes that Jocko played. So that was we
Gotcha.
have a Jocko night for the big band.
Sure.
So we've all these theme nights all lined up.
Why not?
We have Steely Dan night.
Yep.
Frank Zappa night.
Yep.
Jocko night.
Yep.
We have Miles Davis night. We have Thelonious Monk night sometimes. Whoa. And then there's always, my favorite is Mingus de Mayo.
Yeah, of course. Yep. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. All right.
Thank you.
Michael Palin was here.
Further on down the road.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you next Tuesday.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? I used to play every Tuesday at the Tiger way back in the day.
No.
Sweeter Than Wine. Back in the 90s.
I'm carrying your torch.
That's where I met my wife. Yes.
Holy.
You are carrying my torch. Yeah.
How could you follow that up?
History. No, you can't. I mean, you can try, but... Yeah. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Yeah. come over the bridge. Pull a Yui, park in front of the music store, red neon light. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Be on the show with me. Have your own podcast. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
We're right in the middle. We're in the middle right now.
Feliz Navidad.
Yeah, Feliz Navidad. Happy New Year. Happy Kwanzaa.
Yes.
Happy everything. Just happy.
Just happy.
Just have it. Have it. Whatever it is.
Have a happy.
Have a happy. Michael Palin, thank you.
Thank you.
That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.